UFC Fight Night Vegas 8 Smith vs Rakic took place last night, and this is my overall event recap and reaction and breakdown to every single fight on the card. It was a good card overall. It was very stacked to begin with. We lost some fights along the way, unfortunately, but that seems to be the case on a lot of these cards. This was my card of resurrection. I actually did pretty good in overall predictions on this card. I'm going to go through the entire thing, starting with the early prelims, ending with the main event of Smith vs Rakic, giving my reaction and breakdown to every single fight on the card, starting with our early prelim opener of Mallory Martin versus Hannah Ciphers. I was walking home from the shop and I thought to myself, there is no need for me to rush. I would rather miss out on one of those first two fights and just get it over and done with, because I'll be honest with you guys, female MMA fights don't seem to be too fun the majority and the vast majority of the time. This one was not that way whatsoever. Hannah Ciphers rocked Mallory Martin in the first round, dropped her on her ass, then went to work against a cage, and it looked like Mallory Martin was going to get finished a couple of times in that first round, but Mallory Martin showed that she has heart, which is always something good to look for in any division, in any weight class, I'll be honest with you guys, because Mallory Martin showed she had heart, came back in that second round, ended up getting the submission. What an amazing performance from Mallory Martin. It was almost better because Hannah Ciphers came to fight, but Hannah Ciphers gassed herself out. She was very visibly, noticeably gassed out in that second round, and something about Hannah Ciphers, when I watch her fight, I like Hannah Ciphers. This probably is going to be the last one that she has in the UFC, because she did miss weight, and I believe this is like 4 fights in a row that she's lost now, which is rather unfortunate. But you know what, this is maybe time to say goodbye to Hannah Ciphers. You can't blame them for cutting you when you missed weight. You can't cut yourself to make weight, so they're going to cut you from the promotion, unfortunately, Hannah Ciphers. But there's something about Hannah Ciphers' face which I just don't like seeing getting beaten up. And I'm not saying this because Hannah Ciphers is ridiculously attractive or anything, and I don't want her great good looks to be tarnished or anything like that, but I'm just saying there's a look on Hannah Ciphers' face when she's losing which is genuinely like a crying face, and it really does hurt my feelings when I see Hannah Ciphers get beat up. But I picked Mallory Martin to win. She got the job done. 1-0 so far on the card. Viana versus Emily Whitmire. I said in my prediction video that Emily Whitmire's only chance to win this one is by taking Viana to the ground, because she's terrible at stand-up. Viana is a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu world champion in 2015. Emily Whitmire is a female. Viana was going to win when this fight went to the ground, and I'm so glad that logic prevailed, because I was kind of worried for a second, because for some reason Viana was an underdog, which was absolutely fucking ludicrous. I have no idea why that happened, but she did lose to an armbar to Veronica Macedo in the first round, so that kind of diminished her Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu credentials. I believed in them against Emily Whitmire, because Emily Whitmire was 4-3. An absolute disgraceful record. She's now 4-4. I know she's probably not on a loss streak right now, but still, can we probably usher her out of the UFC, because it's an absolute embarrassment for the UFC to provide a fighter of a 4-4 record to the public. We're supposed to be the best fighters in the world at the UFC. Bellator has better preliminary records than this. Get her out. She's 4-4. I like Emily Whitmire, but Viana gets it done by first round submission. Viana gets it done. 2-0 on predictions overall. Very raunchy indeed. And again, another fun fight while it lasted, and another quick finish in a female fight. These were very good. I enjoyed them. Moving on. Sean Brady versus Christian Aguilera. I was looking forward to this fight so much, and it delivered. Christian Aguilera was dangerous. He always is dangerous in that first round. But Sean Brady, as I said, showed in his last fight against Ismail Nurdiev that he can hang on the feet with these guys. And he did a great job of never letting Christian Aguilera just throw things to get his setup. Because Christian Aguilera is a man who likes to feint, throw a few shots, get his range, and then he'll start following up those initial shots with some big shots to counter with and get you out of there in that first round. Sean Brady never let him get away with those single shots. He never let Christian Aguilera get away with throwing a random jab, because every single time he did it, Sean Brady answered back with a jab of his own, answered back with a check hook. He made sure that there was always something in Christian Aguilera's face so that Aguilera could not commit behind his jab. He could not follow up his combinations, because every time he threw a jab to try and set something up, Brady was throwing something right back in his face. Brady also went to the leg a lot in that fight, which I thought was a very good game plan. Always nice to invest against a guy who's very reliant on first round KO power, because it's only going to benefit you later on in the fight. And I actually said Sean Brady was going to get a submission in the third round. Got the submission in the second round instead. Very impressive from Sean Brady. Got the fight to the ground. Great double leg timing on the leg kick of Christian Aguilera, trying to get a leg kick back after Brady was chewing apart Aguilera's legs in the first round. Brady takes him down, gets a one-arm guillotine. No other hand needed. I thought he'd lost it, and I thought, hang on a second here, why is Aguilera's legs kicking like Marab in the end of the fight that he had versus Simone? Sean Brady just one-arm guillotined him, rock cold Bisping 1 style. It's the most stylistically, it's the most pleasing, it's the most aesthetically pleasing submission to watch, because it's just like, you could use two arms. You don't need to do it one-armed, but you're choosing to do it one-armed purely for the purposes of disrespect. And he pinned it against his chest, and it just shows how much of a squeeze Sean Brady has. 13-0, undefeated at welterweight. 3 fights in a row in the UFC, undefeated. Let's start matching him up with some fun matchups. Someone suggested Khamzat Chimaev. Sean Brady's great on the feet, got power on the feet, amazing on the ground, great takedowns, great grappling. Sean Brady versus Khamzat Chimaev might be a fun matchup to make. We'll see what happens. But great fight from Sean Brady. I picked him to win by 3rd round submission. He got it done in the second. Very good performance. 3-0 on the card so far. Alex Caceres was originally supposed to be fighting Giga Chikadze. This was my second underdog of the card. I was going to pick Caceres to beat Giga Chikadze because I didn't think that Giga Chikadze was going to do a good job. And I thought that Giga Chikadze was a little bit overrated, I'll be honest with you. Dislike away, all you fanboys. Austin Springer was a guy who beat Giga Chikadze on the Contender Series, but here's the really weird thing, and this is why I knew the odds were wrong from the beginning. I understand that Austin Springer took this fight on short notice, but Giga Chikadze was a massive favourite over Alex Caceres. Chikadze falls out of the fight. The guy who beat Chikadze steps in to face Alex Caceres. Caceres is the favourite. That shouldn't happen that way. The odds were never correct to begin with for Caceres versus Chikadze. I could smell an underdog win coming, and Alex Caceres gets it done by 1st round submission. Austin Springer looked completely out of shape, like he wasn't even training, and not to mention he missed weight by 5 pounds, which kind of just tells me that he answered the phone call and said, hey, yeah, I'll try. Yeah, oh, that weight? Oh, you want me to make 145 pounds on 2 days? Yeah, we'll talk about it once I get there. Yeah. I'll make 145. Oh, yeah, sure, Sean Shelby. Oh, yeah, I'll make 145. Yeah, just wait until weigh-in day. Got himself in the UFC because of it. I say give him another chance, or at least give him a chance on the Contender Series at the end of the season. Maybe he can earn his way back there because he already has a big win on the Contender Series. But 12-4, has a win over Giga Chikadze. Lost a fight on a couple days' notice. He was completely out of shape. Alex Caceres looked pretty good, but I'll tell you this, both of them look so slow. Caceres' check hooks were so slow motion, it worried me. But I picked Caceres to beat Austin Springer before the card started, so 4-0 so far on predictions for the MMA Guru. The Resurrection's going pretty good so far, correct? No. Alessio de Chirico somehow loses a fight to Zach Cummings, eh? Babidi boopy, eh? Alessio de Chirico? Scusi? What's going on in your fucking brain? Stop standing there staring at Zach Cummings and start throwing some stuff. It was quite an embarrassing performance from Alessio de Chirico, a man who went toe-to-toe on the feet with Makhmud Muradov back and forth in a battle for 3 rounds, who almost beat Kevin Holland in their fight as well, and almost submitted him multiple times and could have even been awarded a decision victory against Kevin Holland, and I wouldn't have thought anything about it whatsoever. But Zach Cummings goes out there, wins himself the fight based on that head kick in the 3rd round, in my opinion. Secured himself that 3rd round, but maybe could have won that 3rd round anyway without the head kick, I'll be honest with you guys, because he landed some good shots before then as well. Alessio de Chirico won the 1st. 2nd could go either way, but I gave it to Cummings. He was a little bit more active. 1-1 could be a very reasonable scorecard, and then Zach Cummings gets the head kick at the end. It was an unfortunate performance for Alessio de Chirico, but now he's 12-5 on a 3-fight losing streak. I don't know if they're going to keep him on, I'll be honest with you guys, so unfortunately, Alessio de Chirico is probably going to get cut from the UFC, and it sucks for that to happen, because I still believe he has so much potential. It was just a terrible performance, in my opinion. And Zach Cummings got the job done. I was wrong on my prediction. 4-1 overall. The Resurrection was over. We did not get the clean sweep. And only to top it off once more, the headliner of the prelims, Maki Pitolo versus Impa Sangane. I'll tell you this right now. I was annoyed in the middle of the fight so much because they showed the strike numbers on the screen. And in the first round, they said Impa Sangane was ahead on strikes. That flurry at the end of the round. Listen, I said at the end of the fight, and people say that I'm deluded and that they were trying to disagree with me. You guys are agreeing with me, live. I said that Impa Sangane won that fight 2-1 at the end of the fight. I said it was a close fight. Impa Sangane won 2-1 on rounds. Round 1 goes to Magny Pitolo. They gave it 30-27 on some scorecards. I just don't know how the strike numbers in fights are so wrong so constantly. They had Impa Sangane doubling Magny Pitolo on strikes in round 2. That was not the case. The official strikes proved that as well. I knew that wasn't the case going into it. The strike counters have no idea what they're doing. And I said this before, and I'll say it again until it changes. I am looking after an autistic daycare of a chat room, dealing with them and all of their aids that they're throwing towards me. Okay? Constantly dealing with them. Okay? Answering this, looking around here. I'm eating a Kit Kat and Haagen-Dazs caramel swirl pot with Kit Kat crunched up in the middle of it. I'm crunching that up. I don't care. I'm watching the fight. I'm looking over here. I'm looking there. I'm reading the chat. It's just, even I can count the strikes better than the person whose job it is to sit there and count the strikes. And I don't have sound on either. Every single card they're wrong. Stop showing the strikes in the middle of the fight. Stop it. Because it does nothing but ruin the credibility of the fight. Every single time. Impa Sangane landing double Magny Pitolo in the second round so far. No, he isn't at all. Oh, okay, the official strikes show that as well. Magny Pitolo Impa Sangane outlanded Magny Pitolo in the first round. No, he didn't at all. Didn't do that one at all. Magny Pitolo outlanded him in the first round. Whatever though, Impa Sangane had some good moments, showed up on short notice very well. Magny Pitolo seemed like he slowed down rapidly, which is something that I didn't expect to see because I've always known Magny Pitolo as a guy who's a grinder that gets things done as the fight goes on, gets better and better and better, but he didn't seem to find his range in the clinch where he can land some of those vicious body shots. Impa Sangane had good footwork, never let himself get tracked down, and just landed some good shots throughout the fight, landing the bigger shots, landing more of them as well. 2-1 Impa Sangane. But that first round flurry at the end, none of those shots landed. Like, the first few shots that put Magny Pitolo around the octagon did land, don't get me wrong. The 6-punch combination that Impa Sangane threw at the end of that round, none of them landed. And I knew that when the fight happened. I watched every single punch land on the gloves or the arms of Magny Pitolo, but the strike numbers just retardation. All good, but Impa Sangane though. 8-0, undefeated. I don't want to talk all about the stats of the fight. It just really does annoy me every single card that they're so fucking wrong. Every fucking card. Impa Sangane, 8-0 middleweight. Good to have him on the roster. Magny Pitolo, 13-7. Contender series. Let's feed you to an undefeated guy. If you win, you win. If you lose, oh well. You're 13-7. It's kind of unfortunate at this point. I always thought he should have been a welterweight anyway. Chooses to fight at middleweight and take on bigger guys. Good job, Magny Pitolo, but he lost this one to Impa Sangane. 8-0. New undefeated prospect at middleweight. I'm enjoying it. Thank you. I'm now 4-2 on predictions overall. Moving on to the main card, Ricardo Lamas was originally supposed to be fighting Ryan Hall. I was going to take Ricardo Lamas in that matchup. He ended up fighting Bill Algeo instead. I picked him before the event started. I said Lamas wins. I even said in my prediction video, my full card predictions, that Ricardo Lamas was going to beat whoever they find as a replacement for him. But Bill Algeo, I have to give him some credit here, made it a scrap. Fight of the night, probably on the card. I mean, Yi Young Kim versus Alexa Grasso was quite fun, but I mean, probably fight of the night on the whole card. Ricardo Lamas versus Bill Algeo. Algeo was doing some good things. Ricardo Lamas clearly outstruck him in the first round, even though the strike said otherwise. Noticing a theme here, guys. The strike said that Bill Algeo was up in the first round, which led some of my viewers to think that Bill Algeo won the first round. That never happened. Ricardo Lamas won the first round, even though Algeo had some moments. Ricardo Lamas won the first round, and I'll tell you this, as soon as we were out of the first round, I thought, oh my god, it's over for Algeo. Lamas is going to win. Algeo rallies, Algeo, however you pronounce his name, rallies and bounces back in the second to win the second round in a fight that he took on a couple of days' notice. That's ridiculous, Bill Algeo. He's definitely earned a position in the UFC. I don't care if he's 13-5. To do that to a guy like Ricardo Lamas on a day or two's notice, You're in the UFC. Ricardo Lamas might be ranked after this win. That's not even a joke. He might slide into number 15. Bill Algeo, very good performance. Keep him around in the UFC. Ricardo Lamas versus Ryan Hall. I say rebook it. Ricardo Lamas shook off the cobwebs, got the job done, got rocked many a time, and eventually just dominated that third round. Clearly a 10-8, so even if Algeo won the first, which he didn't, it would have been a draw. Ricardo Lamas gets the job done. I picked him to win. He gets it done with 5-2 overall on predictions. Moving on. Alexa Grasso versus Yi Yong Kim. I said Alexa Grasso was going to go out there and outstrike Yi Yong Kim slightly every single round. That's exactly what happened. Yi Yong Kim lost. All those long arms for absolutely nothing. She barely threw a jab the entire fight, and every time she did, Alexa Grasso's boxing combinations were just way too crisp. Said this in my previous reaction videos. Alexa Grasso versus Yi Yong Kim was more action-packed than Robbie Lawler versus Neil Magny and Smith versus Rakic put together. Okay? That's where we're at right now with this card and its main and co-main event, which we'll get to in a second. Alexa Grasso gets it done against Yi Yong Kim. Amazing performance. She actually looked good. Genuinely. I know a lot of times we look at these fights as some of these women fighters, they're a little bit underdeveloped and, you know, they don't really have the skills yet and they're still working on the divisions to try and stack them as much as like the men's lightweight division or the men's welterweight division. Alexa Grasso actually looks really good. On the feet, boxing combinations crisp. I know Jimmy Manoa on one of the fight tweets said that her defense looked really good. I actually thought that was the worst part of her game in this fight, so I don't know what Jimmy Manoa was watching, but we all know how Jimmy Manoa likes to defend strikes. Rakic. Alexa Grasso looked really good. Great boxing combinations, straight jab, kept landing, 2 over the top, kept landing. She was landing a good jab to the body, she was landing good combinations, she was finishing with leg kicks, she was landing good leg kicks throughout the entire fight. She actually looked really good in the fight, and even in the third round. She'd already won the first 2 rounds, but in the third round, she decided to go for the takedown just to secure herself the win, showing great fight IQ and finishing strong in that third round. Not enough for a 10-9, of course, but still dominated the third round as well and clearly won it. Great matchup from both women. Yi Yong Kim, 9-3. Unfortunate record now with 2 draws as well. But Alexa Grasso looked good. 12-3. We've got a new addition to the women's flyweight division. I can't wait to see where she goes from here. I would say match Macy Barber up with someone. Or maybe match Maria Agapova up with someone. And then do the winner of those matchups versus a girl like Alexa Grasso. So let's say Macy Barber beats. Or let's do the winner of Roxanne Modafferi. That's the perfect matchup. The winner of Roxanne Modafferi versus Andrea Lee, which takes place, I believe, within the next few cards, in the next few weeks. The winner of that one takes on the winner of, or just takes on Alexa Grasso. Done. Great matchmaking. Alexa Grasso versus the winner of Modafferi versus Lee. Great matchup. Alexa Grasso looked good. Picked her to win every single round minorly. She won every single round by a close margin, except for that third round and some other dominant ones. Alexa Grasso gets the job done. I am now 6-2 on predictions. We're doing good this card. I picked Neil Magny. Neil Magny versus Robbie Lawler. Great matchup in the co-main event on paper. Looked really good marketability-wise. The fight itself was an absolute stinker. Neil Magny just kind of did his thing, which is Neil Magny's thing. You can't really blame him for it. That's what Neil Magny does. Robbie Lawler just didn't seem like himself. I've made a full fight reaction to this. I just didn't think Robbie Lawler looked as explosive as he once did. He didn't look as urgent as he once did in certain positions. Against Colby Covington, we saw him shake off Colby and use massive explosive movements to try anything he could to stop the takedown and escape certain positions. Against Magny, I didn't see any of that urgency. I saw acceptance and just trying not to get finished. That's all I saw from Lawler. Trying not to get finished. And if he's on the feet, he's going to try. But on the ground, I just saw no urgency whatsoever. But then again, he didn't have a full training camp. I doubt he was in the gym training his takedown defense every day. So Neil Magny gets the job done against a short notice Lawler. Good job, Neil Magny. I picked him to win 3-0. Winning every single round, clearly using his range and his clinch and his grappling. He did exactly that. Neil Magny making me look very geniotic, which isn't a word, which now cancels out my genius level. But it should be a word. Geniotic. Whatever. We're not going to talk about that. Neil Magny got the job done. Good performance. Won every round. I picked him to win. He's improved my record to 7-2 on the card, which is a raunchy score, I'll be honest with you guys. It's not the best score in the world. I reckon I could have had some better predictions on the prelims, but you know what? We're doing good, and now the main event, Alexander Rakic versus Anthony Smith, or Anthony Smith versus Alexander Rakic, as is actually pronounced, because that was the order of the main event. Anthony Smith, the higher-ranked guy, Alexander Rakic, the young up-and-comer coming up, who is a massive favourite in this matchup, which just goes to show you how little people think about Anthony Smith's game. And for a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt, he had no answer whatsoever for Alexander Rakic, a kickboxer, taking him down or engaging with him on the ground when Smith just pulled guard or sank to the canvas after taking too many leg kicks. Rakic just went out there and smushed him. That's what, as much as people don't like that style, that's what a lot of your favourite grapplers do to people. Okay, those people that you say maul people, you know, those maulers that you guys talk about, that's what they do. I understand that Alexander Rakic wasn't too dominant and didn't land a lot of significant strikes, but what he did was neutralize the ground game of Anthony Smith, isolate limbs, go for certain shots, stay busy enough to stop the fight from being stood up, and just kept Smith on the ground in the only chance that Smith had to win. Anthony Smith is a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt. His only chance to win this fight was to somehow get it to the ground and do some work there. Alexander Rakic said, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to take this to a position where you have every chance of winning and I have the least chance of success, and I'm going to dominate you there. Alexander Rakic said, and I said this in my full fight reaction video, oh, this is where you have a chance in winning? Let's do that for 15 minutes. Dangerous. It's more impressive to me than if Alexander Rakic went out there and head kicked Smith in the first round. Although it wouldn't go as viral. The head kicking of the Smith in the first round and teeth go flying everywhere into the first row and Mick Maynard catches a teeth between his fingertips. That would be a pretty viral sensation if Alexander Rakic went out there and did that to Smith. But as far as a hardcore fan in my heart is concerned, Alexander Rakic going out there and doing that to Anthony Smith is more impressive to me than if he did go out there and get a quick KO. Because a quick KO would tell me Rakic is still really good on the feet. I thought that about him before, and I still think that about him now. Turns out Anthony Smith shouldn't have turned around so quickly after the Teixeira fight. That's my opinion would be. That would be my reaction to the fight. Alexander Rakic grappled with Smith for 3 rounds and dominated. He just revealed that he's more well-rounded than a lot of those guys at the top of the division. I know Glover Teixeira took down Smith and had equal levels of success, but come on. Alexander Rakic just showed us he has a whole other aspect to his game that he can fall back on whenever he wants. He can take you down, he can hold you there, he can ground and pound you, and he can win fights that way. So for guys like Jiri Prochaska, who might be fighting Alexander Rakic next, watch out, because if he doesn't like the stand-up, Rakic now has an option that he's shown us, and he did show us before it in the Justin Lede fight as well, which is I kind of saw the Justin Lede fight as a way that Rakic was going to avoid Smith's takedowns. I did. I saw it as a way that Rakic was going to avoid the situation of grappling, but I should have seen it as a way that Rakic was going to enforce it, because against Justin Lede, Alexander Rakic landed a world record in light heavyweight division of significant strikes landed on a grounded opponent. He might have landed a world record, period. I'm not actually too sure of the records that he owned there, but Alexander Rakic, right now among active light heavyweights, has the highest strike differential of any active light heavyweight, I believe at 2.73, which is ridiculous, and he's improved it tonight. He improved it tonight. 9-44 in significant strikes. He's just beat his own world record of significant strike difference in matchups by even more, nearly quadrupling Anthony Smith's strikes that fight. And Anthony Smith, the Lionheart, that heart of a lion didn't come out roaring tonight, did it? Because in that third round, Alexander Rakic stood right up with 10 seconds to go, screamed in Anthony Smith's face, stood there, watched him. Anthony Smith had 5 seconds left by the time he got back to his feet. What's Lionheart going to do? Run across the octagon with a flying knee? Fabricio Verdum sidekick Rakic in the face? Go out swinging for the fences and trying to land a KO blow? Lionheart stood up with 5 seconds to go in a fight that he was dominated in, looked off to the side, and walked off the last 5 seconds and gave up. That's what Rakic did to him, even though it wasn't the most action-packed. Rakic is the real deal of that division. I picked him to win by decision. I said he could win every single round. I actually said he would win 2 rounds to 1. I thought Smith was going to mount a little bit of a comeback in the third, but Smith just didn't let him. Smith just let Rakic have too much free time, where he didn't have to expend any energy. Smith should have been making Rakic work non-stop to try and gas him out, but Smith just allowed Rakic to get full guard, sit there, get his breath, land enough shots not to get it separated and win himself the round, and Rakic is going to just do that for 3 rounds if you let him, Smith. Unfortunate performance from Anthony Smith, an expected performance dominance-wise, in my opinion, on the way I predicted Rakic to win the fight, but Rakic went out there and dominated in the grappling, which I never saw coming. So now we've got something else to worry about in the light heavyweight division. Light heavyweight is fun. He could fight Jiri Prochaska. He could fight Rumble Johnson. He could fight the loser of Reyes Blakovic. He could even fight the winner of Santos Teixeira, even though I think the winner of that one's probably going to get a title shot. Fun matchups to make. Thank you for watching the video. Click that button there. Like and subscribe. Goodbye.